sometimes you start to wonder if if that is somebody else is being talked about. I mean, like, I just had the background of stars. I mean, but you literally, kind of drove me up the stars. Thank you for, such a wonderful, description. I just tried. The only thing that matters to me is, writing and trying to help fellow writers, do better in their terms of writing. Whatever help I can do, I know there is a lot to improve for myself as well. So with that, let us, I think we are kind of a few minutes away. I know I have a lot of slides to share, so I'll not, delay this further and, start this thing. So welcome everyone and wish you all a very, very happy new year. And I really hope that the year brings, a lot of fantastic opportunities and gives you a clear direction for this year. So, considering this was a sea of opportunities that we wanted to talk about, I kind of spent some decent enough amount of time trying to search for a good template and a few images. I am specifically saying this because even though this might be a little bit out of the purview of the session, but whenever you go ahead, when you are, giving sessions, when you are talking about things and, teaching or trying to help somebody, you have also to keep in mind what is the setting of the whole environment. So the more closer to the session, the better would be the impact. So good morning, Mr. Tuttle also. Okay. So do you know this little girl who's standing here? Okay, this would be one problem that if I share the entire screen. So, okay, I'll go screen by screen like this. Is that okay? Just,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Yes.
okay. Because yeah, otherwise I may not see, any of your pop-up messages. So, okay, can you see the screen at least? I mean, you can read this? Puneet,
Yes,
readable?
Ashish.
Okay,
Yes.
Yep.
okay, okay. So the story is, Alice asks the king, "Where shall I begin?" And the king said, "Begin at the beginning and go until you reach to the end and then stop." This is essentially the whole thing about content, whether you're writing in terms of technical, whether you're writing in terms of normal content, your story, a poem, it has to have a very clear beginning. It has to have a, good construct in the sentence, in the middle of the part, middle of the story, and then a good conclusion at the end. I chose this picture as it is known as, I don't even know how to pronounce, Akiuga Alice. So I just wanted to represent Alice with a fish. Okay, so let us, I wanted to make this session a bit fun. If you guys can take a screenshot of, this slide and maybe the next slide. And what I want to do is that if you guys can take pics of the, screens that you see on your, whether laptops or mobiles, I don't know where you're taking this from, and share, your thoughts on Twitter, Insta, social media, because one of the main uh, reasons why I'm taking this session is that for anybody of us to be successful, we also need to start to market ourselves. We need to market the content that we are creating. We need to market what we are talking about. We need to market what we are learning also. That will create the brand visibility that we want to have for our individual selves. So here is what I would like you to do. Uh, can you just let me know, maybe you can unmute yourself and let me know if uh, you have taken the screenshot. You can take screenshots of the maybe the PPT itself and share it on your Insta and tweets. I definitely assume that you all have Insta, Tweets, LI, and Facebook accounts. So,
Amit, is it possible to copy this content and paste it in the message box?
yes, I'll do that. Yeah, that'll be a better idea, I guess. Okay, just give me a second. Yeah, see, if I would have opened the main slide, it might not have happened. Just give me a second. Okay, the text is coming in white, so I hope you can manage with that. Is that okay, guys?
Yeah, text is visible.
Okay, okay, perfect. So now the catch is, or the bonus point is, I mean, and I would need Puneet your help with this. The winner with the maximum posts of the webinar with the right tags will be announced post the session, and I will be providing one-on-one mentoring and support to the winner. So if that is if the person wants to get that.
Just, Amit, just again the request. Can you go back to the slide where you have mentioned
This
the
one,
ID? I'm saying that if you can copy that Insta tweet and all those IDs here in the chat box.
I did that.
You did that? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I put it in the chat.
Okay. Maybe it's not appearing for me. Okay, fine.
Yes, Puneet, it's there too.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Okay. So shall we get going, guys? Till now it was all fluff.
Yep.
Okay. So this is, we are going to talk about, technical writing. We are going to talk about content writing. We are going to talk about technical content writing and the opportunities largely for the main field, I mean, the regular job, as also the freelancing. So yesterday, so that, the data is, as close to possible, time. So at 3:30 p.m. last noon, I just Googled all these. So job openings for technical writers, for content writers, for technical content writers. So if you would see, it is like the technical content writers number of openings is like way beyond the addition of technical writers and content writers. These are the regular jobs. The content writers as of now lags behind in terms of the numbers, the job openings. However, let me say it with full confidence that with the kind of uh, digital marketing era that is coming up, the kind of growth in digital transformation and all the organizations trying to get onto the digital bandwagon, uh, these openings will definitely increase in a big way. That I can definitely if not predict, at least say. In terms of freelance technical writing opportunities or content and technical content, just see the difference. While the content writers regular openings was at the lowest, here in freelance content writing openings, the number has like increased like dramatically. So this in itself kind of represents very clearly the need for content writing opportunities. Now the happy part is that technical writers have an ample amount of growth opportunities within the technical writing field itself. But for those who have that penchant to write more freely or who want to get into the content writing field, they have ample amount of opportunities for growth, whether as freelancing or whether as full-time content or technical content writers. So I think this should be a good enough, motivation to start thinking about the direction. And for those who believe in a bit of numerology, this year is, a very good year to take up new initiatives and do new things. So be proactive is the, morale of this year. or the guiding factor. Okay, this we already know. Okay, these are just some pictures here. So let me just give you a very brief history or detail about the evolution of writing. I won't say content writing, but yeah, for me writing includes content and technical both. So this is a little joke or snippet that says that uh, what is important in writing content or technical content is the story that you're telling, whether it be a technical story or a light-hearted story. That is a different things. And so, well, when the serpent gave the apple to and Lady Eve, I think that was the earliest story that was ever told. So you never know. Memes that were used, they are supposed to be the earliest forms of content, and they originated after 10,000 BC is what I could see in this blog by Digital Deepak. And we all know Britney Spears, so this is not about her. But if you have to sell spears, if you are living in a monolithic age, I would like somebody to take a shot, unmute, and tell me what kind of content will you create and where will you share it? Just a quick 1 minute, you know, thought on this. Anybody?
Ashish here, sir. So I
Yeah.
would preferably share this in making some museum kind of where in a, where people are there in a museum and they see these kind of ads or something.
Okay. See. Okay. Maybe the question was not clear. I'm saying, what if you were living in that age? Okay. There are no museums at that time. So you are already living in a cave. You are a caveman,
I,
Ashish.
Okay.
So
I
how
will
will you
create
sell it?
I will create paintings on the stones
Of paintings of
of spears on the stone.
perfect. And maybe you can use a spear to redirect the people also to the cave.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Good one. That is interesting. Okay, thank you. So moving on. So this was the evolution as I was talking about. So while this was probably the caveman, then we had the movable typewriters, mass publications. Now the whole world is changing, and there is a lot more beyond this also. So, what is wrong in this picture? There's one thing that is wrong because this is an old picture, of course. So, in terms of today's generation, in terms of today's changes, there is something wrong in this already. What is said in this picture. What is that?
Um,
The
yeah.
first person is doing the last tweet.
Okay, so basically, see, that is not the right thing, that is not the wrong thing, but that is the interesting thing that we have reached the age where more is being said in lesser number of
Yeah.
characters and words. But what is wrong is that Twitter is no more 140 characters limited now. It is 280, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was the catch. Okay, this I won't ask you to tell me because it will just it may save some time. So I'll just ask you to read this. So there was a person called John Deere, and he used to make a lot of agricultural equipments. And to market himself, he started a magazine called The Furrow. Now, so this is all the gyan about what is content. So if you are already in a mood like this, because there was a long description, long definition, I would move on to making it a bit more crisper for you. The goal of content was not to market or sell his products. It was to tell the farmers how to use the equipment so that they can become more prosperous, become more profitable. So the content is still being written there, and a lot of content is being written. It is a very famous magazine if you Google for it, The Furrow. Uh, but the only crux is that the focus was not of not talking just about the technicalities of the equipment. It was about how to use it. Okay. I mean, I'm very sure you guys would have seen those green tractors running around in the city also sometime. John Deere. Okay, so basically the next point is, as Neil Patel says, that the focus of content or even technical content, as you would see, is to build a strong relationship with your target audience. The quality should be very good. It should be relevant to them and on a consistent basis. So it should not be that one blog that you write, makes sense. The other blog is like, totally in the air. There has to be a consistency. Consistency is a very, very key, critical keyword if you want to make a mark in the world of content writing. Specifically as a blogger, I'll tell more on that. So now we are reaching the point where we'll talk about a few, content types, and there are not a few. There are a lot of them. If you can't see, I'll increase the size of the image, maybe.
Amit, I think you can go on full screen in case there are questions.
Yes. Yeah. So, and yeah, I mean, like, before anybody, I don't know if anybody has already typed in the chat box. I think the content will be shared, so you may not, really need to take a lot of notes immediately as of now. But yes, I'm sure some of you are at least taking pictures and screenshots and putting them on the social media as, suggested. So, good enough, or shall we move on? I would like others also to speak up, not just Ashish. I'm getting bored of his voice now.
Yeah, but I think we can move ahead.
Okay. Don't take it in another way, Ashish. Okay.
No, actually, I'm not in. I'm not taking it.
Okay. Let me just go through this like this then for some time. When I presented this slide, actually somebody said that this quote was not by Abraham Lincoln, but I still am using it. I just saw it like that, and so the best way to predict your future is to create it, he said, or whoever said it. And this is what I believe, right? So Puneet would know this, and a lot of you who attended the session on Dancing Uncle at Hyderabad. So he has a lot of things, I believe, that are relevant to writing. Now, see, the point is that you need to keep writing, okay, about your ideas, the services that you want to talk about, the products, and it has to be in multiple formats. Formats we have already seen, listed in the previous slide. Whether you tweet, whether you blog, whether you are on Insta, whether you create a Pinterest, whatever you do, but you keep talking about your idea. So you never know which platform would really, hit the audience in the right manner. Then once you see that a particular platform is responding to a particular type of message or an area, you can definitely go ahead and push more material consistently on that platform while you identify the audience on the other platforms for what kind of keywords they are looking at. See, identifying your persona in content writing is immensely critical. Unless you know what the reader is seeking, what they want to learn, what they want to read about, you will not be able to do a good job of content writing. So Dancing Uncle, he created a lot more videos. I have not seen new ones though, but I think he has stopped now. He's tired of dancing, I guess. Uh, yeah, and the last line actually, while I was creating this slide, I was just thinking who else made a really huge impact in terms of influencers. Believe it or not, Priya Warriors Wink really hit the Instagram hard. And so, just a tiny couplet dedicated to Priya Warrior. One wink was all it took, and the entire influencer world shook. It really had an impact. I mean, it zoomed her career like anything. Now she wears one dress by a brand and she gets it clicked in the right manner, writes 5 lines, and she gets paid handsomely. So yeah, you never know what brands you want to wear. Maybe a Ray-Ban. Okay, so I'll kind of hold here, and I would like to, take a short break. Maybe you can, ask, let us say 3 questions maybe. I'll take at this stage to talk about content writing. And let's see. Anybody has any questions? 3 questions we'll take right now.
Guys, come on, guys. 3 questions. So many questions to ask. I have so many questions, but
Ashish,
Amit is
maybe-
bored.
no, Ashish, maybe you can share the questions with the guests.
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, ask Ashish or
so,
anybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give chance to others first, and then I will, let me wait for 1 minute, and then see. Let's see if someone asks, then okay. Otherwise, I will ask my question.
1 minute is too long. Let's give them 5 seconds.
Okay. 5 seconds, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
One.
Okay, time up. So,
Mm.
I mean, my question is that now, when we say about content for anything, these things are made for sale of a service or sale of a product. But when we say about content, we often we use jargons like impressions that people are viewing it, and then they say leads. That means they are engaging it, or they are engaged with that particular service or a product. Then we say about conversions, where the product is being sold and monetary benefit is made. Now, can you just how do if I have a content writing, how do I go for from this impressions to conversion is something that I would like to know personally.
Okay. See, the first and foremost, what you would need to do is to be able to identify your niche area. Okay, the area that you're interested in, the area that you know most about. Once you have identified that, go ahead and create a, for starters, maybe a blog around it. So, okay, let me ask this first. Are you talking about creating content for an organization or for an individual?
Here again, two things are the same, because even these organization also ask like how many engagement do I have on my post or something like
Correct.
that.
Correct.
So I let me talk, like we do have so many freelancers inside. So how they can monetize their blogs? Let me ask in that way first.
See, monetizing blogs comes at a much later stage. So let us not even, get there. First thing is, as I said, first thing you need to identify what area you want to write about, what you're confident in writing about, maybe your experiences or your knowledge, and start writing. You have to be very consistent in writing daily or maybe weekly 2 blogs or weekly 3 blogs, but fix the time. So let us say at Signity, we publish blogs like every Monday and Thursday without fail. So by 7 p.m. or 7:30, sorry, you you will see a blog from Signity on the areas that we specialize in. Now, what that does is it starts to create your audience. It starts to generate, the public's interest, and then okay, that these guys are consistently writing about it. They must be knowing something about it. Once they, see, and then you have to additionally start churning out different kind of content also. You have to create videos, if possible, create ebooks, white papers, and all. Now, once that is done, uh, then the next step is to identify the persona. See, for some people, they may want to target, type 1 businesses, which are like, low revenue generating, but decent revenue. Some people would want to target, say type 4, which is like, 25 billion or 50 billion revenue generation, organizations. Now, once you have done that, it is only then you will be able to identify the kind of language that they read, the decision makers of those organizations read. So, what the CTO of a Fortune 500 organization would be reading is something like, say, a content on Forbes or Huffington Post or things like that. Whereas, a regular guy may be just reading something around, the regular blog posts on technology. So then once you have learned the art of writing in that particular tone, you will definitely see those organizations churning out content in that particular manner. Okay, so once that happens, your monetization part will automatically come, because they will reach out to you that, okay, what exactly do you do and how can you help me?
Yes, thanks. I mean, that means that this is an expert tip, guys. Write punctually, write consistently, and write properly also. Okay,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
thanks, Amit. Thanks for that wonderful tip. Please go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that is decent enough for. Okay. So this is something that, to be very honest, like I am kind of out of the technical writing world for the last 5 years. A lot of changes have happened in the last 5 years. So I would rather, ask you to answer this. What is your take on technical writing as of today? How satisfied are you? What is the vision that you have of the field of technical writing? Who else is here? Let me just see.
Come on, writers. Come on, speak up.
Barua, Ishan,
This is
Rishabh.
Diane. Hello. I'll
Yeah.
say something. This is Diane from the U.S.
Hi, Diane.
I've noticed technical writing has become a lot more involved with the content. There's an emphasis on not bothering your subject matter experts until the last minute. And I've been going on interviews, virtual interviews, and they practically want you to, do everything. And, recently I was on one where they want me to do a report, an annual report, I believe it was, and I said to them, I kind of hinted around, shouldn't this be done by PR? And the ask is just so much greater. And they even said at the end of the interview, maybe this is too much to ask for. But I'm just noticing that they also asking, how do you produce a user guide? How do you produce a process document? How do you produce a policy? They're all the same to tech writers. I mean, the way we go about, doing the draft, outlining, identifying your audience and coming up with a template, working with the subject matter experts, revising and approving. And,
Right.
I just was on an interview literally 3 days ago, and it was just kind of frustrating because they really want someone to do they had 2 annual reports, and one is for an IT department, and the other was called an oversight report. So they kept asking me, how would you go about doing it? I said, well, I would look at the previous one and, find out there seems to be an emphasis on just doing so much research on your own and involving the content. You have to know a lot more of the subject that you're writing about.
Exactly.
They want. This is what I'm finding, and it's just. It's not just, we're not glorified secretary. I'm an older person. So, years ago, I'd say, we're taking content and we're just kind of putting it into a nice format, and making sure the grammar and spelling and readability are good, quality work, a quality product. But now it's just become a lot more, what do I want to say, like comprehensive. Where a lot more is expected of us.
True. So what has happened over the years? I'll give you a very brief example, and it will, I think, kind of relate it to what exactly you said. So 20 years ago, when I joined the world of technical writing, the fantastic world of technical writing, I am somebody who has just done his Bachelor's of Commerce and MA in English. I had no technical or engineering background. So while there were a few questions, in all the companies and all the organizations that I gave interviews that, you don't have an electronics or a technical background, how will you write? I was always able to, give them satisfactory answers that, I need to talk to people. I need to write about the product. I don't need to teach them, technology. And I fairly succeeded for the 15 years I was a technical writer. However, the last 2 years, definitely, I have seen the JDs that are coming out for the technical writers. They are very specifically saying that they need the candidates to be a BSc or a BTech or an MSc or an MTech. So I don't understand the very specific need, but I think the world is becoming, very multitasking oriented, even for the writers. I have worked with writers who have, had to work with very complicated Visio diagrams, wherein designing team could have easily handled it. We have had to design layouts. We have had to think. We have had to brainstorm with the SMEs. And in fact, we have at times also have, acted. We should rather act as the first tester for the product that is being created. But that should not mean that, we are engineers by our own, making. So I understand. I know the pain that you're talking about. I think everybody is expecting everything from us, and yeah, I mean that is something that we'll have to deal with. Now, on this note, see, this is where the difference, the good and the bad. See, some people love to know more and write more in terms of technology, but there are a lot of people like yourself. If you mention that, okay, I can write, but there is a certain boundary up to which I would like to work, kind of thing. Maybe content writing gives you that freedom. So while writing a blog, while you do have to keep the nitty-gritties of the technology being spoken about in terms of what are you saying and how are you reaching out, the demands are not too many. You would definitely need to talk to the designer to design a banner. At times you might also have to share what exact image you would want to use for that particular blog. But most of the times it is the free flowing language that will help you release the pain of otherwise working in a fixed arena of the rules of data and all. So I hope, I mean, I'm right. I mean, data does make you work according to very fixed thought processes, and so it does not really provide you that freedom to the technical writers. So, okay, thanks, Diane, for the wonderful thought. And okay, so let's see. So this is what I came across while I was doing more of a research on technical writing. what is the actual goal of whatever you're doing? The goal is to encourage post-sale self-support. That is, if you have created a user manual on how to use a television, on how to use that fridge or a microwave oven, the user should be able to see it and operate it. There should be no, callbacks to the support department or, post sales support requests that, okay, I'm not able to do this or that. Right? Isn't that what is the answer or a definition of customer satisfaction at the end of the day? Customer satisfaction is that you have given them a product and they are able to use it. That is where the quality of the product, the functionality, the performance. So while those things are related to the actual product, in terms of content writing also they are the same. Whether your readability is clear, whatever you are saying is in details, and well, so a very small funny incident that I read a long time ago, and I think I've shared it also earlier in some platforms. I read that there was a gentleman in Germany a long time back, and he bought a van, a caravan kind of thing, where he could eat, sleep, and drive all day long. And so he was driving on some highway in Germany, and he put, he felt like having a coffee, and he let the, thing continue to run. And those days were not, automatic handling of the vehicles. He just let the van run. He got up from the driver's seat. He went behind and started making coffee. I mean, definitely not a surprise. The van swerved and took a turn and fell into a ditch. This gentleman, I would say, had the audacity to sue the organization for not mentioning it in the user manual that he cannot get up to make a cup of coffee while the van is still running. And eventually, I think in that report mentioned that the technical writer was fired for not mentioning that. And that was when I decided that if I am to continue as a technical writer, I'll definitely not go to Germany. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for staying back, Amit.
Okay, now this is some good news. I really read this and I felt so happy for all of you, all the super technical writers, that between now and 26, technical writing employment will experience a growth of 11%. Is there a question? Okay. So 11% growth, guys, and that is 5% higher than the average growth for all occupations, and 6% than the employment growth for media and communication. So you're on the right path, and I would want you to do this for me. Can we? Come on, guys, be happy for yourselves at least.
Yeah.
You
Doing it.
Thank you. Okay, so now comes the interesting part. I mean, some of it has already been cleared, but yeah, I think this is needed. The first difference is in the purpose itself, and that is very critical. And okay, let me make this full screen. So, while technical writing, you need to educate and inform the people how to use the product and the technologies used. Okay, whereas content writing is the benefits that a person will get and the solutions that the product will provide to them. The examples we all know in technical writing: the user manuals, deployment, admin, reference, installation, too many guides to mention. Same case with content writing. We have the white papers, ebooks, case studies, blogs. See, blogs, while they have been the most popular means, videos is taking the world by storm. So if you want to create a niche for yourself, start creating those 30 seconds or 1 minute videos. While technical writing has more of a strict format and structure, content writing gives you some freedom. And the tone has to be professional yet flattering. Okay. And the content has to be informative and marketable. So it is not that the content writers can write fairy tales. Even if they're writing fairy tales, there has to be something that is informative and marketable. Okay. Now, apart from that, information provided in manuals, etc., has to be scientific and authentic. Now, while the same is kind of required, on your website pages, you can add some of your fluff there. So even if it is, something lighter, the technology has to be explained, but in lighter format. The more the important thing is to follow the SEO rules. Now, SEO rules definitely, dear Google keeps changing the algorithms every few months or quarters. So you have to be very observant of what changes are coming up and what kind of changes are not happening. See, there's an interesting thing about SEOs also. So what used to happen is initially when the SEOs came, Google had not set kind of I think maybe a very clear diction. So what people used to do was that if there is a keyword, say software testing for Signity, let me say software testing. So what people would do is they would try to stuff the whole web page with like just too many number of that software testing. So naturally that page ranking went up. It skyrocketed. People who did not do it, they fell behind. Today, the thing has kind of totally reversed. So anybody who's doing this kind of stuffing of keywords on their pages is actually ranked last. Why? Because Google has now understood that these kind of people are frauds. They are not doing the right thing. What Google is now targeting is long form keywords that that talk about software testing, but without maybe using the specific keyword software testing. So they can also talk about functional testing, security testing, all those things. So that said, the context is now more on providing value to the person who's reading it. Okay. Again, this was something that was my favorite as a technical writer. I mean, I hated adding jargon in the technologies, but yeah, I mean, at times there was no way around it. Content writer has to read more is something that is very critical, because see, a quick example in terms of content writing is, so let us say we are talking about IoT. Okay. Now IoT or AI testing can be held across multiple industries. Okay, whether it is airlines, whether it is healthcare, whether it is education, logistics, manufacturing, any field, any industry, and you will have a different connotation and meaning relevant to IoT and AI. So it is just that you have to read about the impact that IoT is creating on all the fields. So you can't stay restricted to either just the industry or just one part of IoT, and that is what will help you create more content. Any other questions as of now here? People don't have questions.
Amit, I have one question.
Please do.
So maybe you could even answer this at the at the end of the session.
Okay.
How do you see technical writing and content writing changing in the next, let's say, a couple of years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the line, given that so many new technologies are emerging and will keep on emerging and will keep on growing beyond what we perceive right now. So let's say even AI ML it's more like a keyword and like a jargon right now, but in the next few years, it's going to be, a part and parcel of our lives.
Correct.
So, right. So given those situations, how do you see content writing and technical writing changing, and also observing the fact that automation, it's seeping into everything that we know right now. So if you could just, shed some light on those things.
Okay. So maybe I'll run through this next section.
Sure.
And let's see how more we can add value to that. So see, I think this goal would help you kind of relate to AI and ML thing also. The first sentence is the goal of technical content writing is to educate and to sell, right? What does AI and ML do? It actually learns based on the behavior of consumer. Okay, from at what time does the person shop for things, at what times, from which locations there are specific people coming in for buying products, or all those data, what is the age, what is the gender, all the things related to our behavior. Now if we as writers are able to access that data, and that data is available in multiple formats, even Google Analytics provides a lot of such data. If we are able to analyze that data and utilize it to target such audience, so that they can generate better revenue and write more relevant content, that will really rocket our audience and readership levels. However, if we don't do that, and sadly that is what has happened, even if you see, for example, we create user manuals or guides, and in terms of content, we create blogs and white papers. If we don't go and check how many times a particular user manual is being downloaded or a blog is being read, and when are they being read, what kind of people are reading it, all that data is available. If we don't analyze it and then see what kind of content is popular and what is not. So see what is popular. Step one is to write more similar, aligned content. And for what is not working out, you need to kind of analyze the difference between what is working and what is not, so that you can rewrite so that the content matches the tone and flow and maybe look and feel of the content that is working out, and then reassess how it is working out. So for example, like at Signal also we have been kind of continuously working out on making changes, and some changes work, some changes don't work, so we change it again. So that is what is really required. Eventually the content has to clarify how the product benefits the customer. Okay. This is all kind of gyan. I mean, if you want to read this. So what is technical content writing? See, the answer lies in the top heading itself. Technical content writing is nothing but the amalgamation of both the styles. A technical content writer is somebody who knows technology. He or she knows writing free-flowing content also, and has the ability to eventually write content that is technological in nature, but yet is not very highly jargonized or fixed for just technology or just content. Okay, so then the content, whatever is there, it should be able to explain to the decision maker. See, this technical content writer's prime responsibility is to write content that reaches the right audience, and makes these decision makers take, you know, a well-informed decision to work with you. Okay, so he has to persuade a confused prospect to buy your product. Okay, now persuasive copy, it has to be persuasive, you without sounding persuasive. Okay, so that is where the whole knack of writing lies. You don't have to say please use our product, you don't have to say it at all. Max to max, in the conclusion you can say, okay, our organization provides these and these services, the services about which you would have already mentioned in the content that has been written. Okay, technical acumen has to be there. And so blogs also, if you see, they are of multiple formats. Some people write short form 500 word blogs, some people write 1200 word blogs. What has been observed is that around 1800 word blogs make the most sense. However, you know, then there are multiple like mega blogs. So they are like, you know, 4000, 5000 word blogs also. So it depends on what kind of technology or thought or service that you want to talk about. Same case with white papers and other forms of content also. Who needs them? Well, I would say rather, I mean, while this is a very short list, today with all the organizations moving towards technology and digital, all of them need technical content writers. I very strongly, you know, suggest all of you that please, and Puneet and a lot of people who I have, you know, worked with and said this in multiple sessions that I have, you know, interacted with you all. I have always requested, please start your blogs. Whatever you want to talk about it, but please create a website for yourself. Please start blogging. That will really, really help you. This is, you know, one of the good things. Work never gets stale, believe me. I mean, just think. I mean, again, so I am giving constant references to Signity, but I mean, that is what is closest as of now to me. So work never gets stale. So today we have like 13 industries and 25 services. If I just write a white paper each for, you know, one industry mapped against those 25 services, I have no lack of work for the next at least 2 to 3 years. So, you know, and without getting bored, because every topic will be different. Okay, and yeah, so the last line is what is important, right? Puneet, the last line is important, right?
Very.
Yes, certainly.
So now let us is that what you were waiting for? This
Almost all, yes.
Yes.
This picture actually took the longest to find. I was not finding anybody sitting near the sea with the, you know, relaxed mode. Okay, but I would go directly into, you know, the money making part. Money making part comes easy and naturally when the other things are in place. Okay, first, this is what is important and very, very important, believe me. First point I have already said, second also, third also. The fourth point is the most important in the world of freelancing. You have to first read. You don't have to first write. You have to first read as much as you can about your interest area. I'm not saying read everything, but you have to read in depth about what you want to write about. Okay, and then put it on a repeat mode. Fix a strong discipline. Fix a strong routine. The next point, sign up on popular sites that encourage freelancers such as Medium and Fiverr, that I have been thinking of doing since ages, but I have never done myself. But that is something that will really give you, see, why I have not done is because Like I already have so much work to do that I don't have time to freelance anymore. So this is a very good medium for those who really want to establish themselves as freelancers. You have to promote, you have to regularly publish, whether you even publish small articles on LinkedIn. There are so many fantastic writers writing small snippets almost on a daily or a alternate day basis on LinkedIn. um, they automatically they create their own brand of followers. Don't bite more than chew. Please never do that just because you have uh, whether so see this applies both in the case of whether you are working doing freelancing along with a full-time job or you are doing freelancing only. Never over promise. Okay, just take what you can do in a quality mode, because if the word gets out that you are doing a lot of work but the work quality is bad, that will be the end of it. So take two projects at the max, give them full focus, give them full devotion, and then do it. Okay. Feedback. Oh, the clients love to give feedback, and they also love to reject also. So be open, be ready for that. That was the last point, second last point. When I used to freelance, like quite a few years ago now, I made it a very strong rule. I will never freelance during office hours, which meant I can freelance like from 10 to 12 p.m. at night or on Saturday and Sunday. Not apart from that, or maybe early morning, but I am more of a night owl, so I don't refer to morning hours generally. Uh, the last point is very critical. You have to know how to market your skills. You have to know how to manage the finances. Uh, हिंदी में अगर बोले तो किससे कितना लेना बाकी है, because people don't pay up easily. And then the taxes. Okay. Again, the first point, again, I'm repeating it here. Never freelance during office hours. I'm reading this out, Puneet, because I think this is very important for people to understand. Uh, this also I mentioned, never overpromise and underdeliver. Okay. Uh, and this is very important. Add, you have to give time to your family. Because if the third point is not met, believe me, whether a full-time freelancer or a half-time or a part-time freelancer, your life will be a mess. Always give them time, enough time. Hustle. So naturally, if you give them time and if you have to write when they are asleep, you are hustling eventually. Okay. Another thing, a lot of clients tend to give you a lot of gyan. Okay. Accept that what makes sense, but do not accept bullshit. Never do that. Okay, stand your ground. And you have to ask the client why is he creating that product or service that he is asking you to write about. And all these rules are applicable whether you are doing freelancing as a technical writer or a content writer. Okay, so this is not like only for technical or content or technical content. This is applicable across all three. Okay, wrong spelling here. See, I'm talking about quality and I'm giving a wrong spelling here. Okay. Be polite and respectful, but never befriend your client. Okay, it creates problems with finances, believe me. This is something I rarely did and I suffered a lot of times. Please do take at least 25% advance. I'm not saying 50, at least 25% you must take. Because as I say, I mean, like sometimes after half of the work is done, the client switches off the phone. So you will make losses. Mentally, financially, you have to be ready. Review and rewrite, and I have not done that. Okay, good. Okay, I'll at least review it right now. Any questions till now?
Yes, Amit, there are two questions. One is from Pallavi and one is from Sanu. So Pallavi is asking, can we refer content writing as creative writing?
Content writing is a form of, creative writing is a form of content writing. See, the difference between the two would be if you just talk about creative writing, that would mean that in your writing, in your blog, you might be, say, publishing poems, or, talking about nature, or uh, healthy diets, or, all those things which are non-technical in nature. So that would make it more of a creative writing pursuit. So anything that is non-technological can definitely be a part of creative writing. So
Okay.
I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, Pallavi, are you there? That answered your question.
Pallavi left.
No, yes. The question is answered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, now we have next question from Sanu, who is asking, like, how do you compare a writer from manufacturing domain that is mechanical with a software technical writer?
Sanu, I would need you to elaborate the question. Why would I need to compare?
Yeah, Sanu, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, I'm there. Hi, Amit. I'm just asking in the sense of, if you see in the mechanical domain, the writers used to write the like user manual, technical guides, and what are the maintenance manuals kind of thing. But when you come into the software domain, I think in today's world, the coding is must. So, so how do you compare them with both of them? Because if some mechanical writer want to write something, he knows how to write it. Only he learn the coding or some kind of thing to be jump on the software side, or how you guide.
My understanding is that coding is not required to become a technical writer in the IT industry. See, while API writing is definitely picking up pace, and a lot of writers are learning about writing, about codes, and reference manuals definitely, talk about a lot of codes and all. But that is more about explaining the code that has been used to create some product or service. It is not about the writer himself or herself requiring to, code themselves. So the only difference between manufacturing and IT industry technical writing would be the kind of manuals that are being created. I don't see, and definitely the technology also would change.
Exactly.
But otherwise, I don't see why would somebody need to learn to code how to be a technical writer.
But somehow we are seeing that the most of the requirements in today's industry is the software domain. They are asking for the API and UX writing, but the guys who are from the mechanical or manufacturing domain, they are not selected for that that profile. So how you look into that?
No, I would say that doesn't make sense actually. And if you are coming across such organizations that are asking you to see, uh, knowing how to write API manual or a UX UI manual, that is something else. But knowing how to code or write a UX code, that is a different thing altogether. So if an organization is expecting you to code also, please say no to it upfront. That see, very recently, I think a lot of you would have seen a WhatsApp forward that there was a joke wherein there is an interview going on, and the lady is describing the JD to a development person, And he starts with one or two things, and then the lady says, okay, you need to know Python, you need to know API, you need to know this, that. And eventually the guy says, okay, I don't think you need me, you need the whole development team.
Correct. Yeah.
So that is where I think we are all leading to. And if you do come across such an organization or such a requirement, just give it a skip. You don't even need to think about it, because it is not easy to explain to everyone what is the scope of technical writing. Everybody has started to create their own boundaries, and not just creating, in fact expanding the boundaries. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I
Thanks.
think, yeah.
Yeah.
So there are 3-4 more slides, Puneet, I think, but they are very interesting now. So I hope people would be interested. So now, if you see, the rates. Okay, the rates can be freelancing rates. They can be by the hour, number of pages, the size of the project, number of words, and retainer fee, which is like monthly, or a flat rate that, okay, this is the size of the project. And this is basic flat rate is basically for the project itself. So consumer magazines pay generally per word. The trade magazines can either pay per word or flat fee. You know, uh, Technical marketing is usually per hour rate. In our case, it is a recurring salary, and yeah, by page is for books. Now, first thing that you need to identify is whether you want to do it, full time or part time. My understanding is that most of us in this session are already professionals, and we are just planning to get into it part time so as to earn some pocket money. I hope that is a fair enough understanding. And so identify, like, if you can, and that is why I've just taken a very small number. Identify if you can do freelance for 8 hours a week and 50 weeks a year, not 52. I'm saying 50 weeks. Give yourself a break for 2 weeks at least. And let us say you set a target for yourself. See, setting a target is important, because if you don't set a target, you will never realize that, okay, how much you can actually work, and you can never plan what kind of work you need to take. Okay, so for 50,000, you need to get work that is like that gives you almost say 125 per hour. Okay, and that will be important. So in terms of content, I know that uh, writing white papers is something that pays you the maximum. So if you can understand technology, if you can write white papers, that will definitely help you. What interesting thing about white papers is that white paper for me is like a combination of 3 blogs at least, if not more. So if you write 3 blogs around the same topic, try to see if you can create one white paper around that whole thing. Okay. So this is one example how you can calculate per hour. I think this will be the most important slide of the session. Everything else may be discarded, right? So, I mean, in terms of example, if your annual income is 5 lakhs after taxes, you work for 264 days. I'm removing 8 days. You work for 2,112 hours. And so you approximately, you can charge around 250 per hour if your annual income is 5 lakhs. But then now, okay, so travel used to be earlier like, okay, maybe you can add, your petrol also there or a diesel also there. But well, now in the days of Corona, you don't know, you don't even drive the car. So thanks to Corona. And so maybe you can add, internet expenses, your, Airtel and Jio charges, maybe admin costs for, maintaining the whole, because a lot of clients also ask you to track it on Excel sheets and all. So on a very minimal scale, say you add another 50 rupees. On top of that, please do mention that 18% GST will be charged separately. If you don't do that, you will be in a loss. So final figure would be somewhere around 300 plus the 1800, 18%. That is your hourly charge calculation. Took a screenshot, right? How many took a screenshot?
Yes, I did. This is Pallavi.
Okay.
I did too.
Good, good. So, okay, this one, how to charge per word is more of an ethical thing. It depends on your confidence and experience levels eventually. So you can charge 1 rupee also, you can charge 5 rupees also. I know some writers who charge 10 rupees also per word. But if I look in the US side, I think the white papers, the average charge is $107. So, well, just think where you want your audience to be. If you want to write for American, US audience or global audience, definitely you can charge in a much higher range. But if you are in India, 10 rupees is like a very high charge per word, and you have to really have proven yourself to be an out of the world kind of a content writer. Okay, and even 5 is something very difficult to get. But so the important point is you have to set this particular rate for your own self. If you feel that, so I feel that I still have a long way to go before I can charge 10 rupee per word. Okay, project level it might be a different thing, but 5 rupees I feel okay, I can do justice to it. It won't affect my guilt conscious. But if you feel that right now maybe 2 rupees 50 paisa per word is sounding good enough for me, that's a good rate for you then. So okay, now project rates versus hourly rates. This is an interesting example actually. See, so let us say you're charging 500 per article, and you're spending 2 hours on writing that article. So eventually you end up actually charging only 250 per hour because you have spent 2 hours for that article. So in that case, you should set an hourly rate of 500 per hour instead of a project rate for per article. And as the note says below, if you're looking at a long-term or a recurring repeat client, don't charge by the hour because that will become like a monthly income for you. So with them, you can always give them some discounts. This is something I really wanted to say. This boils my blood every time I see this. How many of you have seen the posts on Facebook asking writers for 10 paisa, 15 paisa, 25 paisa words?
Most of them are asking for free.
Yeah, all the time.
Ghost writing.
Seriously, man, that is something that is, that pains me. That literally pains me. And so that is why I put this image of a lion and a security guard, because I definitely feel like shooting them and tearing them apart. So yeah, I seriously searched for this image for quite some time. And and I mean this. See, while this may be a negative thing to say in a recorded session, but please do feel free to blast such messages here on Facebook. Because if see, I know a lot of people, with all due respect, a lot of housewives and a lot of people who are just maybe starting up, in their career. They might be trying to build up a niche, or they might be just trying to earn something from the market. For them, it is okay. I have nothing against them, but at least, the tribe that I am interacting with today, I can definitely, scold you also if you ever go ahead and accept a 25 paisa per word project. Please don't do it. Okay. उतना हक है मेरा कि मैं तुम लोग को डांट सकता हूँ कि why the hell are you doing it? Okay. So how is this quote? I like the quote after I wrote it actually. तो ये तारीफ करो यार, थोड़ा सा अच्छा बोलो.
It is quite rebellious.
है ना?
एक number.
एक number, huh? Okay. Reminds me of some दाढ़ी वाला fellow from Big Boss. Okay, so this is the summary actually overall. I have 1 or 2 slides after this also to expand on this summary also a little bit. So content writers write to sell, technical writers write to explain. It is the job of their marketing department to sell. Technical writers write to satisfy the needs of the customers. Okay, technical content writers do both. Freelancers make additional money while doing all of this. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is already here. Okay. Maybe you can take a screenshot of this too.
Sure.
Very interesting information, Amit. I'm sure this will be very useful to people who are trying to explore, apart from job or even in job, like the 3 fields Amit discussed. Whatever you are, whether you are a content writer or whether you are a technical writer, you can go ahead and explore further opportunities. And certainly, technical content writing is the in thing. Whether you like it or not, that's the in thing. That gives you money and that gives you job also, both today, in today's world. And freelancing, of course, it's everybody wish list. But like Amit has already mentioned, and in the past also, many people come to us that, okay, you know, what shall we do for freelancing? But the first thing you should do for freelancing are those few points that Amit has especially focused on. Build your brand, show your presence. Work doesn't come that easy.
True.
Okay,
True.
so you have to do some homework. Just today you go decide that you want to do freelancing and you announce yourself, hey, I'm available. You are not the only one. Please remember that.
True.
So thank you, Amit. This was really helpful. And like one point you mentioned, you know, like LinkedIn posts and all, but do that on regular basis. So even in this group, I'm not sure whether some of those people are here, but I can see many people over a period of time getting into this habit of having at least one LinkedIn post every week minimum about something they have learned, something they have thought.
Anything.
Yeah.
It can be anything.
Right. So don't keep the knowledge just to yourself. Just go ahead and share.
True. Anybody here has any other question? I mean, just before we close, maybe.
Ishan's question was answered.
Ishan's question is very futuristic. I'll call you, Ishan.
Yeah, sure.
I'll discuss. I say okay. I'll quickly say something. Automation cannot take away the jobs of writers. That is one thing I very, very firmly believe. Though a lot of AI is being pumped into machines, and these machines are learning and experiencing and churning out content. There are a few that are already doing it, but these machines cannot go and talk to the SMEs, my friend.
Yep.
And these machines cannot explain the designers the kind of flow, the kind of layout that needs to be created. These machines don't know what kind of intelligent knowledge transfer can happen over a small cup of tea at the Bundy. Okay,
Yeah.
They will never be able to get to that level. The max they can do is that, okay, for this particular product, this kind of language is there, this kind of flow is there. They can generate a good skeleton. That is what we should use to expand and grow upon. A lot of good websites are now coming up with you give them a subject heading and they'll throw up multiple topics that can be written about that particular subject or keyword. So that is something we use for our SEO and blog topic generation maybe. But those sites also cannot write blogs for each of the 30 topics that they churned out. So we will have to do the research. Okay, research part, AI and ML will definitely do a good job. That is something that, may not be a good job, but faster at least. There are a lot of tools that are coming up, a lot of websites that are coming up that can, if you give them, as I said, a keyword, they will scan, spider web crawling of the net and, bring out the relevant topics or articles around that particular keyword. They may even give you a small summary of that. But eventually, that summary will not lead to a white paper. You will, as a writer, be required to think, do more research and write and discuss with your SMEs. And if not just discuss with your SMEs, you have to take the permission of your senior leaders in the organization that, sir, may I publish this blog? Is this blog good enough? AI and ML will never be able to satisfy the egos and the seniority of the leaders in the industry. That is a given. Okay, so even if the AI says that write about this particular topic, and if your boss says no, this topic is waste, that AI is waste. It is of no use.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. So that the personal element that we all share, right, that AI can never surpass. Unless Terminator comes and blows us all apart. That is a different era altogether. So, yeah. And talking about, I just want to show off a little bit. Okay. So, you all know this. Okay. Master Yoda, right?
Yeah.
And Master Yoda actually is saying here, back I'll be. So that was again from Terminator. So I just remembered that. Okay. Answered that question a little bit, Ishan?
Yes, absolutely. So actually, I think my question should be centered around two main points. How does technical writing or content writing change internally, and how does it change externally, right? So because the type of content that people are consuming these days has radically changed, and it will continuously keep evolving and changing. Like I think let's say 15 years before, 15 years ago, we didn't have the concept of micro content because we didn't have digital devices, right? With smaller screens. People used to rely on big bulky books to consume information. But right now it's a completely different story. I wouldn't choose to read a 1,000-page book when I have just a page of content available to me with the relevant information. And with the enhancement of the UX part, the user experience part in every product that we use today, it will definitely have an impact. So that is to be seen, and that is to be what we need to probably prepare ourselves for.
So actually, you are very right. While you covered one aspect of the writing change that is happening, the other aspect is also there. So people are now reading either the micro form of content, okay, or they are reading the really long format.
Okay.
The middle layer is vanishing. So the reason that is happening is either they are reading on their mobiles, or they have, thanks to especially Corona, they have ample time to read. So a content that is midway will or may not have that much of an impact. So long form content has become very critical. Okay. Okay. On that note, Puneet, I would like to request something. Maybe in the group also, Puneet, maybe you can add that. At Cignity, we are looking at somebody who is experienced in long form white paper, technology based white paper contents. So if either of you, any one of you, or if you know anybody, who is looking for a job opportunity, please, connect with me on my LinkedIn account, and please share, any relevant profiles that you can.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. So Ashish, do we have anything more, or shall we wind up?
Yeah, we can wind up now, Punit sir, and
Amit,
thank. Yeah.
Amit, I'm Satya.
Hi, Satya.
Actually, I have a different dot. The thing is, I'm working in e-commerce industry as a technical writer. So I wish to start a blog actually. So I was really afraid, like, if it actually I'm passionate about movies also, will that be okay to include blogs about movies and e-commerce industry in the same blog, or would you suggest me to maintain two different blogs?
Two
different.
Don't mix your industry, because your audience will be different for both the blogs.
Okay.
People who are passionate about movies may not necessarily be passionate about shopping, especially men, maybe.
Yes.
Right? Sorry, I could not hold that one.
No issues. So, guys, as we are, we have successfully going with the flow of time, and I thank Amit, and I thank every one of you who have taken part in this session, and I especially Amit, who has spared his time and giving so much of gyan to us, and gyan in that master gyan. I would not call this as a webinar, but this was a master class on content and every aspect of content rather. So guys, thanks a lot for your valuable time and insights. If you have something, if you have questions, you can directly reach out to Tech Writers Tribe, and you can reach out to Amit's. I have posted Amit's LinkedIn profile ID in the chat box. So you can directly connect with him, ask him these questions, and we are already there for you to help. You can connect with our Telegram channel or a Slack channel, where there we are very active, and we are answering each and every question from any person that we are getting. We have other moderators also, and it caters to different technology. It can be regarding your project management, it can be regarding your content, it can be regarding your illustration, it can be regarding your hardware, mechanical, whatsoever you have. Feel free to connect with us, because we are here for learn, care, and prepare, guys. Okay, so please get in touch with us. And so on this thanking note, thanks a lot, Amit. Thanks for spending your time. Thanks a lot, all the Hyderabad volunteers, including Punit, Pallavi, Sujit, and everyone who have taken part in this event and making this a wonderful session. Thanks a lot, audience. You have done a wonderful job, guys. You are a brilliant audience, basically. Okay, so
thank you, Amit. Thank you for the session.
Thank you.
It was very
I will definitely do a post on LinkedIn about the session also. So
yes.
yeah, go ahead and leave your thoughts also.